Hey everybody, it's Star with Large Lads, and we're bringing you another tier list. This is a tier list that we've actually done in the past, but we're actually going to rehash over. And today I'm here with Shokin.
Sweet.
And Connor.
What's up?
All right, and so this tier list, like I said, we've already done it, but we're going to be doing this is the best settings or biomes in fantasy, and we're going to be ranking this just based off personal preference and how much we like it. And we're going to try to rate this as accurately as we can. And I hope everybody enjoys. But before we jump into it, please go Wishlist, Winterreach Emporium. We actually, as of yesterday, just pushed the demo for Next Fest. So if you're playing games during Next Fest, be sure to check out the demo and wishlist the game then. With all that being said, we can jump right into the list.
All right.
So our first one on the list is Ashlands, and this picture is a picture from Morrowind. So Ashlands is our first one.
Oh man,
yeah, Morrowind's got some good Ashlands.
I'm thinking, is Mordor technically an Ashland?
Yeah, I suppose it would be. Actually, that's a good question. I guess post. Sauron being there, making it Mordor. In some parts it would be. Yeah. I suppose, and for the most part it would be at that point.
There's also Ashlands and Kenshi for any Kenshi fans out there, and that's actually probably my favorite version of the Ashlands. Not so much fantasy, but whatever. It's still the same thing.
Yeah, well, and you never really get to see it, but you do hear about it in Game of Thrones. There's the Ashlands of Ashai, which are like far to the east, and they in the books people have traveled to them, but just another cool Ashlands. Morrowind is my favorite Ashlands. I think Morrowind is like super cool.
That's where my mind sort of instantly goes.
Yeah, it's also the one that you get to thoroughly explore the most, really.
Right, for sure, right. Yeah. I think Ashlands are pretty dope, actually. I think they're pretty cool.
Yeah, I think they're cool. I'd keep them, personally, between B and A, probably. I think they're cooler than a lot of them.
I'm leaning A because in my head, Ashlands are a cooler desert.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
The
only thing that makes normal deserts cooler is you don't see any giant worms coming out of ashland deserts. Not yet, anyway.
Yeah, imagine an ash worm. That would just
that'd be pretty sick.
Yeah. How do you feel, Connor? What do you think?
I'm gonna have to go probably B, because there is some interesting renditions of Ashlands, but I feel like it's sort of few and far between in a lot of cases, and for me, it's sort of just more of a middle ground.
Okay.
In terms of...
Sure.
All right. Well, we'll put it top of B. Well, that's the only place we can put it right now, but we're going to start off the list with a classic B. That's how all the lists generally start, and then at the end you realize you made a mistake, so...
Yeah.
And kind of, we just talked about it, but next we have a desert.
I've given this opinion before. I'll probably give it again. I think deserts. I'm just not a big fan of like the desert cultures that come out in fantasy and story.
Why is that?
They just don't interest me. They just don't entertain me. Maybe it's because they don't have a lot of oil for me to go mine, or steal from. But if they did, maybe I would like them more. But until they do, C tier probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think deserts are cool. I think desert kingdoms can be really cool. I guess if we jump to, the first one that comes into my head is the Alakir Desert in Hammerfell, which is pretty cool. And then the Red Guards are really cool as like desert folk. And then I think the desert, the issue is how if you handle a desert like an obstacle or as a setting, and I think that's part of the issue with the desert is like you look at Game of Thrones and they go to Karth. Yep. The fact that it's in a desert that's not really the setting. The setting is the city of Karth, but it's like it happens to be in a desert, and then it's
the problem that's in the way.
It's the problem you're right, exactly. So I think that's maybe the issue with deserts.
Yeah, I will say there is only like of all the deserts in all media that I've ever consumed, the only deserts that I like are the ones in Kenshi actually. And I don't know if it's because Kenshi does it good, or it is Kenshi Glaze, but I don't know if it's because that or if it's because like almost like half the map is desert, so it's not so much obstacle as it is like the entirety of the game. So maybe there's some truth into that.
I think deserts are cool. I think the problem with deserts that you get is it seems like in most most like fantasies kind of like Eurocentric, so you always end up getting the southern desert people who are traders, you know.
Yeah,
and it's like a universal thing.
The more stereotypical thing, I suppose, and how it often is. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's there are some instances where I've seen some fantasy works make them feel very, very alive, but then in most cases it's kind of not so much the case. You have your more isolated civilization, like you mentioned, traders, things like that. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's speaking in terms of fantasy. It's definitely on the lower tiers.
We thinking C tier, or are we even lower than C?
Yeah, for me, I mean, I'd give it a C.
You cool with that, Tristan?
We can give it a C.
Okay, your mic's getting a little crazy every once in a while. Just a heads up, but
is it? Yeah, let me see if I can fix that.
Okay, so we're going desert C.
Yeah.
Oh, you sound perfect now.
Awesome. That's good to know.
Wow. If only you always sounded like this, it would be perfect.
Yeah, if my mic was just right in my face, right in the way of my keyboard and mouse.
Exactly. All right, so next one, we have a weird one, okay? And this is a dream world or dreamscape or dream realm, some kind of... It doesn't have to be a literal dream, but it generally is... Yeah, kind of, yeah. I think it could also be that it's typically... Maybe not typically, but sometimes it's not real. Whatever's happening there.
Yeah.
Right.
So the problem with them normally is that like normally what happens in the dream realm doesn't have much impact on like reality, or maybe it can feel like a waste of time to the reader.
Mm-hmm.
For the rest of the story.
Yeah, that reminds me of some things that I've kind of picked up from The Witcher. Actually, they've had a few instances of this sort of thing happening. I kind of feel the same way. I feel like in a lot of cases it can kind of take you away, but then there's also some places where it is done very well. But I don't think enough for me to rank it too high. Right now.
My issue is that this isn't a fantasy thing, but in every show, I hate dream sequences.
I don't. That's kind of where my mind.
I hate dream sequences. If you've ever watched The Sopranos is kind of like lauded for like how well it did their dream sequences. I still don't like them in The Sopranos. Like, it's just kind of dumb to me. And then the one in games I can think about, like Baldur's Gate, where you have Baldur's Gate 3, where you have the where you meet your like spirit protector or whatever. That's kind of like a dream realm. That's what I would kind of define as this. And to me, it's kind of like the least interesting part of the game.
Right. Yeah.
The only thing interesting about the dream realms is that they get to make the settings actually interesting, right? Like they get to be kind of unique because reality is kind of like is fake or weak there. But I don't actually care because I don't ever want to spend any time here, because every moment I feel like I'm spending time here is wasted because nothing is actually happening.
Right. Nothing's actually real.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm leaning towards D here, guys.
D. Put it at D. Get it out of here.
Yeah.
Stop putting me in dreams.
We hate that
mainly
shit.
for that reason. Mainly for the fact that it's, nothing is real. So.
All right, guys. Next we have, if you can't tell by the picture, is floating islands.
Ooh.
So I'm thinking Legends of Zelda is a big floating island one. New game, Crimson Desert, seems like it had some floating islands.
Yeah.
You know, there's that old Minecraft thing that you do where you play on the floating island, if you know what I'm talking about.
Survival.
Yeah, Skyblock.
Skyblock. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, that's what I think of when I think of floating island.
Yeah, the thing is there's like they can be really cool, but I feel like rarely it's ever used in like as like a bunch of floating islands that like something really happens in. Sometimes you'll have like the floating city or like a city on a floating island.
Right. That's cool. No, that's cool.
Those are cool, but normally it's not like a multitude or like an entire like I guess like area where it is a bunch of floating islands. When it is, it's like in like a Pandora in what's it called? Avatar. Yeah. I think they look really cool, but how much of the story is actually impacted by I'm not really sure.
You know, I'm going to throw one at you that's going to make you actually maybe think it's a little bit better now that I just thought about it. It's such a random pool.
What is it?
You ever seen the movie Sky High?
Sky High, like the high school?
Yeah, where they're superheroes.
Yeah, no, I've seen that one.
Have you seen that, right. Connor? Yeah, that's a floating island, and it's a pretty good setting. I'm not gonna lie.
Sure. I guess that's true. Well, you know, you also got like the Ghibli and Howl's Moving Castle. You know what it is? I like the floating cities. I just and on an island. I guess I just normally like whenever I see a bunch of floating islands and there's just like nature on them, I feel like they're rarely used to great effect. That's the difference. Right. That's my thought anyway.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, I mean, I'm kind of thinking the same.
I'm thinking this is one that has some high upsides, but then also some like bad downsides, right? So it's like if it's not like a key setting, they're kind of just set pieces.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know.
Yeah, no, that's just for where things just so happen to happen sometimes because it's a cool thing to see in the background.
Right, or it's just like, oh, there's some floating islands. This is such a fantasy world, but I'm never going to even address like, oh, there's the floating islands. And then let's keep on our journey. Like, and you know, it's like, okay, so thanks for that.
Yeah.
And, I guess in more standardized fantasy, it's less of a interesting thing in that case. So,
as soon as they put a Dollar General on the floating island, I think it's way better. I think it's A tier. But until they get there, until a person builds something on the floating island, I'm bored of it. As soon as somebody builds something on it, it's actually like way cooler. Yeah, that's my argument.
Okay, well, where do you think puts that then? Because I mean,
if with something on it, if somebody's building like floating castles and cities and whatnot, A tier at least. If it's just like natural floating islands that are like used as a background visual piece, like C tier because it's
kind of both. So do we just split the difference? Because I mean, all of these like we could say deserts, but like desert cities are desert or like we.
Yeah, right.
I think B would be fair.
Okay.
I think it'd be fair.
Floating islands in B. Some floating island Stan wearing a floating island t-shirt right now is crying.
Yeah.
Next we have forests.
There's a lot of forests. A lot of forests.
Now, I will preface this. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
There is another one on this list that is specifically magical forests. Okay?
So this is a non-magical forest.
This is a general forest, wooded area that isn't inherently magic. Right?
Yeah, you could just go out. You can go outside. Most people listening to this could just go outside and run into one of these.
Yeah.
Too far away. If it were so cool, would you not spend more time?
That's a really solid point. But if it was that bad, wouldn't you move away from it?
Yeah, that's true. No, I mean, I live in it, so what do I know? I mean, is it normally there's a whole thing when it comes to riding with like the hero's journey and like the hero having to go into a dark forest to like discover themselves or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, forests are cool. They just they honestly feel like the most like blank canvas like standard like thing in fantasy is what it is. They feel like the fantasy like there is a forest here. If you're in a fantasy, you're probably going to run into a forest at some point. You might even start there. How many beginning areas to games are in a forest,
Right, but that's almost, it sounds like it's a bad thing, but it's actually also kind of a good thing because there's a reason you want to put it in there. It's because forests are kind of cool.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Like if you make a fantasy map, like you plot out a big forest because forests are cool,
Right. Everything stems from it, so
Totally real. It's a good question. Well, I don't know, guys.
I mean, we have a huge folk wreath stand here. I'm surprised you're not dying on the forest hill.
I am a folk wreath. I live in a forest, so it's like, what do you want me to say? If I'm putting my house somewhere, it's probably not gonna be the floating island. It's gonna be hard to get anywhere every day. I'm just gonna put it in the forest.
I think just based on the other things on this list,
yeah,
I'm almost leaning towards B.
Yeah,
I think
B is reasonable. Because there's only so much cool that a standard forest can be compared to a lot of fantasy. Fantasy's got magical elements to it.
I think it's definitely. I would probably put it in a B just because it is more of, it's kind of your average, your beginning stage for when it comes to thinking about biomes for any fantasy setting.
Yeah.
So
where do we think above floating islands or behind them?
I'll actually say behind them, just because floating islands are at least like unique to fantasy, I guess.
You agree with that, Connor?
I would say so.
All right. Next, we have grasslands or plains, whatever you'd want to describe it as.
Yeah.
Depends on how bad my allergies are there. That's really what dictates how far off I want them.
That'll do it.
If we've got some Oklahoma plains, yeah, that's some trash tier stuff. But we love plains. Rohan, your Whiterun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, I mean, even because you have plains like that, right? And then you also have like plains like the Reach in Game of Thrones, and also in Game of Thrones you have the grass sea with all the Dothraki and like the horse lords and tribes.
Yeah. The Mongol steppes.
Right, it's like Mongol steppes kind of classify as grasslands.
I have a very special place for this kind of biome. I think a lot of cool fantasy stories are really interesting fantasy stories I've heard from these settings. So, which, I mean, it can be surprising, but then you kind of consider, like cliff faces, stuff like that, kind of embedded in certain spots. That kind of all goes hand in hand with grasslands. A lot of people think of it just being, just flat, but then you have all those other areas. So I don't know. I if we're talking on that level, I think I would put it pretty high. Maybe even for me, I don't know. I might even put it in A.
Whoa!
We got an A tier fan for some flat grasslands.
Here's my thought.
Well, if we're talking flat grasslands, it's a different.
Grasslands, I guess it could technically compose a lot of things, but what I would say is like we have like mountains on the list, so it wouldn't be like grassland mountains, but it could be like there could be maybe like some crags or cliffs there. I guess that would make sense. That would work. But I would say for me, grasslands are cool, and I think maybe there's a little bit more you can do with grasslands than a forest. Because a forest, you either have like forest tribes or you have like small villages, right? That's kind of what you have. Grasslands, you can have big kingdoms, you can have farming communities, you can have steppe raiders, you can do a whole bunch of stuff with grasslands.
Horse and shit, known any grassland place will be horses.
Yep, exactly. So I might say grasslands is at least above forests.
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah, I'm alright with putting them above forest. Yeah.
Floating islands.
No. I would not put them above floating islands.
Okay, I'm fine with this here.
Yeah,
good place to be.
Right. Next, we have a little bit different than Ashlands. This is Shadowlands. So these are basically like Ashlands being, they're generally ashy from like a volcano. Shadowlands are dark for probably more of like a mystical reason.
Yeah, so literally like the Shadow of the Erdtree and Elden Ring.
Yep, exactly.
That's the first and biggest example, which on its own
I thought you were going to go. I thought you were going to go with the Morning Coast in 16 Thrones lore.
We have the Morning Coast as well.
We do have the Morning Coast in our lore. And you also have, I think Shadowlands is something in World of Warcraft as well. Never played it, so.
Yeah, you'll have to ask another nerd for that one. I don't got that information.
Solid point.
It's only chance we're here. I literally only with the concept of Elden Ring, like as my primary visual, like I would put it an A on that alone.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to.
That they do a really good job showcasing it there, and it looks really cool.
Yeah,
that's kind of, I guess, the depth of my wisdom on it.
Yeah,
I agree. I like it an A also.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think that's fair because I mean, even being exposed to that, you can kind of see what's possible with that setting. So,
all right, Shadowlands is A.
Yeah. What's the next one here, Aaron?
Next one we have is a hazard world or hazard land. So this is like here's some Nurgle-ass thing, but specifically there's the land is defined by being biohazards, or it could be like
so it could,
sulfur it could be any kind of different reasons why it's a hazard.
Yeah, it could be like acid.
Right,
like,
exactly.
The glowing sea and Fallout.
The glowing sea and Fallout. Yep, another good one.
Yeah. Oh man, there's so many really good examples of this, and that's kind of why I'm
and they're good. They're really good, like tools for writing too, because they themselves propose conflict. Like they've already, like, because they exist, you can say, well, there's something somewhere. Turns out it's over here at Stinky Bad Place. Now you already have all the tools you need to write a conflicted story over that, just because the place is terrible to be.
Yeah, and there's always typically there's some reason as to how it's gotten to that point. So I feel like there's a lot of backstory in these types of settings.
Yeah, it gives a lot of lore options. Say, in Nurgle's garden, which is a terrible, terrible place no one would ever want to be at. It's been burned down a time or two, and every time it comes back, and it's still stinky and gross. You just can't fix that place. That place sucks.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of variety when it comes to these hazard worlds, whether it be like because everything is alive in the place and it's trying to kill you, as in Nurgle's garden, or as in the world itself is just destructive for you to be around, as in the glowing sea. Or if I think there's also like robotic worlds, which I guess would fall under this.
Ooh, careful now. We got robotic worlds coming up.
Oh, do we? Never mind.
Well, I guess there could be a hazard land in a robotic world. It could also be like, because this is they're two different things, I suppose.
That's true. That's true.
It could also be somewhere where there's like just like a ton of like creatures that will kill you. That could also.
It just goes to show like the diversity of what that is, so what it could be. Anyway.
Right.
Now I think it's cool, but I'm gonna be honest. It's cool to me, but personal preference, I don't like it more than Ashlands. Well, I know you guys might disagree, but
I think I do disagree.
I think I would have to as well.
It might be the post-apocalypse fan in me, right? Where that's like, I know, but the fan, as in me being a post-apocalyptic fan, it's like this is in every this place exists in every post-apocalypse,
Okay.
Yeah, there's always a type of location like this.
So where are you guys thinking?
I would
in front of or behind Shadowlands?
I'll put it behind IMO.
Yeah, I probably would as well.
All right, I'm cool with that. That's fair enough. All right, next we have islands. These are kind of any islands. Here's a tropical island. It doesn't have to be tropical. It's just the fact that it's an island. Any I'm thinking, I mean, obviously Game of Thrones, you have the Iron Islands. You have Solstheim in Skyrim. DLC, that is. I think when you think of islands, the way that I'm thinking about islands is the fact that it is an island, because it could be any kind of island, right? But how much does the fact that it's an island give to the setting?
Right.
There needs to be input. Like, it needs to be important to the story that there is some sort of divide here that keeps it away from the rest of society.
I guess I suppose so in a way. I think a lot of people when you
unique.
Yeah, I think a lot of people especially when you make a map, your first instinct is to put it on an island a lot of times, just because you don't have to worry about like boundaries or anything.
Yeah, it kind of makes it pretty clear where the boundary is.
But I actually don't love island for the sake of island.
I don't either.
Yeah, in that context, yeah, I'd have to say the same.
Yeah. Now, if the island gets so big that it's a continent, to me it's a different thing. Because now it's a continent. Well, because continent's not a real word, but it doesn't actually mean anything really. But when an island gets that big, then it doesn't feel like an island anymore. So I'm like thinking about like an island that feels like an island.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Somewhere between Madagascar and Australia is where you draw the line of what an island is.
Right. So say like the Dragonborn DLC. Okay.
Yeah.
Like Dragonborn DLC, you go to Solstheim. Okay. If you just went anywhere else in Morrowind, would it have been any less cool? Not at all. It would have been just as cool.
Yeah. The fact that it was on an island doesn't really change anything.
Doesn't do anything at all.
Yeah.
I'm leaning towards it's actually pretty low. I'm actually thinking it's behind desert.
Yeah, the islands are literally like the importance of an island is in like stories where normally people are traveling or going through long voyages or journeys, and it's like the time or the distance is part of the story, and they literally have to be on an island.
Oh, right. So side note on this one, Witcher Skellige is actually pretty cool.
Skellige is one of my favorites.
Yeah,
so
Skellige
I would
actually
put that as like a high exception to fantasy. Now I am kind of limiting myself here because my mind also goes to places like pirate themes and stuff. But
I wasn't even thinking pirates.
To me, that's and that's a huge thing for me because I love pirate themes, especially like I don't know, like I've played a lot of the Assassin's Creed games, for example.
Black Flag's the best one.
Flag is the best one.
The best one. It's not close.
You get to go around all like the classic pirate islands. All of the what are they, the Indies, and stuff like that. I don't know all the terms and regions, but yeah, I mean those types of islands in that context, I would say for me rank quite high. But when we're thinking of kind of just,
you kind of just talked me up a little bit. Actually, I'm kind of starting to think it's better than desert.
Yeah, and my mind kind of goes there when I think of islands. So that's well,
it's at least better than deserts with that argument.
Certainly.
Now, is it B tier is the question?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, if we weren't talking more general fantasy, because pirates
factor in here.
Hey, there's nothing saying that there's not sky pirates floating around.
Yeah, there could be. There's anything, and I definitely get the pirate theme with it's integral to pirates. So if you do like pirates, it has to be islands.
It is right, and on that basis, I would have to say, if we're talking more general here, then yeah, I would say that would be fair.
We could say to the pirate stands, we could throw it in B.
Yeah, if we were kind of basing it.
Hey, if the pirate stands really need it in B, they can put it in B. My opinion is putting it in C.
Yeah, I don't need anybody shivering my timbers, so we'll go B. All right, next is jungles.
Mm-hmm.
This is like where like El Dorado would be, like dense exploration sort
correct.
of.
I'm a jungle hater. Can I throw that out now?
Hey, you're a jungle hater. It's been
jungle
recorded.
Hater. Jungle to me is a worse desert. Okay.
Yeah.
Most of the problem is like a cliche problem. Not cliche. It also just makes sense that like people would be less developed in deserts, or jungles rather, because of, just like
diseases, and it's really hard to travel
through. It's diseases.
Mm-hmm.
You don't like. There's an abundance of food generally, like because the fact that it is a jungle, so like agriculture is not really as necessary. A whole bunch of different reasons why jungles kind of make sense to be a little bit less developed, but I think that they always just. I feel like most media just makes jungles either where the tree people live, or where the uncontacted tribes live, and it's one of the two.
Ruins, temple.
They're just less interesting to write for. I think that's another thing. There's like a way bigger diversity of like civilized, like structure building, nations is way cooler and more fun to write than the 14th jungle nation, or it's kind of the same as all the other ones.
I think I would have to agree on that note, just because you kind of have like when I think of jungles, I think of just temples, ruins. That's kind of the extent of like it's mostly to me. I think of old civilization, or just and it all kind of, to me, kind of goes in the same, for the most part, in the same zone. So,
and not to mention that the conquistador in me is telling me that 500 people with like armor and guns can go in and take over an entire jungle nation. It's got to be pretty low on the list.
Yeah, I'm not huge on it. I think the only time it's cool is like if you look at like, which I don't know if this is jungle or kind of like a magical forest, but if you look at like the elves, I guess in like Lord of the Rings, where they kind of have like the tree city type things.
I'd call that more of a magical forest than I would.
That would be more of a
okay, and then
forest.
Valen Wood and Elder Scrolls, I guess it's probably more of a magical forest too as well then.
Yeah.
Or maybe more of a jungle actually. I don't know. That one's pretty cool.
That one might be a jungle, but
I think it's below desert at least. I might actually
definitely
be D tier.
I'm cool with D tier actually. Please put it D tier.
I think it's better than Dreamscapes. I hate Dreamscapes.
Definitely, that's the worst one.
Okay.
I could go with that. For fantasy, I could go with that.
Okay. Next we have Machine Worlds.
Woo! Like a Skynet took over everything.
Well, this is like more. Yeah, like in a way, it could be that. It could be that the world is a machine. However that becomes a reality, or
like Mars in 40K, totally industrialized, and like planets, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See, to me, this is kind of interesting of a setting. There's a lot of really neat instances of this, but there is drawbacks of often what is very repetitive.
Right, I feel that way. Yeah.
World building, so it gets to the point where it can be kind of, visually mostly just the same thing over and over again. So,
well, I can't even think of many stories outside of 40K that have like full industrialized like planets like this, right?
Yeah,
that it tells stories on that it actually matters very much.
Yeah,
like where it's taken at and not taking place.
I mean, in a way, the Death Star is kind of like a.
Would we consider? All right, would we consider Coruscant a machine world? I don't know.
I think it's more of like just a normal like it's literally just like a giant metropolis, not so much a machine world.
Right. Yeah, I think I would have to say the same. Yeah.
Well, Tristan hates my opinion on this, but mech stuff is lame. That's my actual opinion.
This dude hates robots.
I'm biased. Robots are dumb. But I'm biased here, so I don't want to disqualify myself, but I'll let you guys kind of do the ranking on this one, because I would put it bottom of D. To me, it's lame, but it's up to you guys.
I'd put it above desert just because I hate desert so much, but I really don't think, like, the thing is, I just don't have enough good examples to defend this sort of setting.
Yeah.
You could say the Death Star, and the Death Star is a cool setting, but I don't know. I feel like it's not really not a fleshed out enough setting, right? If I can get one, maybe two cool examples, I'm not defending it.
All right, where are we putting it, guys? Where are you putting it, Connor?
I would say
better or worse than deserts? Behind desert. I'm okay with that. I like deserts better. There, I said it. All right, next we just kind of brought it up, but magical forests.
Give me some examples here of some magical forests. We've got.
These are probably some of my favorites types of settings. I don't know. I just instantly take my mind to places that I think of in Lord of the Rings, being such a fan of that as I am. And there's so many places that fall under that setting there. So
yeah, I mean, even the to jump in here, but even like the dark forest, because like what's the dark forest in the Lord of the Rings? What's it called with the big spiders?
Yeah, like Dol Guldur and stuff like that. And,
they kind of like a dark forest is also kind of a magical forest in a way, if it's like magical in nature. The reason that it's dark is magical in nature, as in like there's like tons of like crazy mystical things in there.
Yeah, there's many instances there where it's, to me, it's very a very interesting setting. I don't know. I put it pretty high. I would put it in A tier somewhere there.
I'm higher on it than forests. I would. What's up?
I was gonna say just barely. My thing is
I was gonna say
that
just
it could be
barely
super
too.
cool, but I don't know many times where it's like this setting is super cool because it's a magical forest. Literally, the coolest one I can think of is the Petrosite Forest from League, from Runeterra, and it's literally cool because it just stops magic from happening there. And I think that's cooler than, I guess, real magical forest. I don't know.
I definitely I would put it pretty high just because a lot of my I guess my favorite locations are based around there, and
I'm leaning towards putting it here. I'm thinking it's better than forests, it's better than grasslands, it's better than floating islands in my opinion.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
I wouldn't put it above floating islands.
Do we have any?
I would, but
I kind of would too, because I think regular floating islands stink.
Sure.
I think the downside of floating islands weighs them down. There, I said it. We'll put it there. I think magical forests are cool. There's a lot of good examples in a Tolkien universe.
We'll get an S tier here one of these days.
I'm biased.
Next we have mountains. So this is on a mountain, around a mountain, at the base of a mountain, slightly in the mountain, but not underground the mountain. Okay, because we have underground, so it's not underground the mountain, but it's the mountain area or slightly in the mountain.
Or what about on the sides of the mountain?
Right, on the sides of the mountain. Right, anywhere. I'm just saying you're not totally underground. You could be parts, there could be mines in the mountain, but that would be underground. Okay. So
are we including really snowy mountains, stuff like that?
Mountains. Mountains in general.
Okay. Well, yeah, in that context, I don't know. I think it's a breeding ground for some pretty interesting factions. And
I agree.
Creature.
I'm gonna be bold. I'm gonna be the bold guy to say it.
Be the bold guy that says it, man.
Mountains are gonna be our first S tier. I think that mountains are awesome. Skyrim is so cool because a big part of it is the mountains.
Yeah. What a cool take this guy's giving right now.
Yeah, look, I'm the brave guy who said mountains are cool. Okay, the Lonely Mountain is really cool.
Yeah, I think your bravery is definitely warranted here, just because, like I said, there's a lot of things that derive from mountains in fantasy, and when it comes to world building, like I said, there's so many interesting factions, creatures, or people from the stories that you read in fantasy that all kind of come from the mountains, and then you maybe don't get to them till a certain part in that story, or it's reserved for a greater event, like in Skyrim, the Greybeards and
Well, even something that you generally don't think about, but even in myth, mountains are always you have to climb the mountain, or there's something on the mountain you have to fight, or the gods live on the mountain.
In Witcher 2, or you got where all the Witchers are, the Kaer and that's built basically on the side of a mountain. So there's just so many cool there's so many cool locations and factions, people that
every time you're in a fantasy game and there's mountains, the first thing you want to do is go up and climb it and see what it looks like from the top. That's what you want to do in real life.
We all agree it's S then.
Yeah. S tier. It's literally the easiest S tier drop.
Now here's a tough one.
Yeah, Aaron might not like this one so much, but
this one is on a creature.
Yeah, or I guess it should be more on a walking thing, because an example,
on a
example I
walking
could think of is the Strider from Armored Core 6, where it's the giant, huge, mega, big walking city with a laser cannon on the back of it, or go on.
Well, this game, Wandering Village, is one where you literally play a city builder that's on the back of this big dinosaur-looking guy.
And you have Discworld.
Where it's on the turtle. Yeah.
all of those. My favorite are the sci-fi ones where it's like a structure that was built with a purpose of going somewhere and being like a cool like walking fortress.
Mm-hmm.
Those are my favorite examples of it. But all of the biological movie like examples, like there's one in One Piece as well where it's like all of them are cool. It's cool to have a city that walks around.
Here's another pool. Okay, this one's on a way smaller scale, but a lot of, and I didn't watch a ton of it, but like the Avatar: Last Airbender.
Yeah.
A lot of it actually takes place on that big guy's back, that buffalo's back.
Oh, sure. What is is it not what the heck? What is his name? I can't remember it. Appa is his name.
Yeah, like a lot of it actually takes place on his back. So in a way, it's kind of a pool. But if you ever watched, this is another random one, but Flapjack, where they're
on the back of the whale.
Yeah, or in the whale's mouth.
Yeah. You're giving it points. You're giving it extra points, actually. What the heck?
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
I don't know. I think it's a really cool.
I'm gonna put it with A tier if we're gonna be putting Appa and is it Mama? Is that the name of the whale? I can't remember the whale's name in Flop. Is it Bubby? I think it is Bubby. Yeah, what the heck? Bubby. That's crazy. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, I mean it's just such a cool concept.
I think it's a really sneaky A tier. Like if it's done right, it's A tier for sure, right?
Yeah, put it in A tier then. Slam it up there. I want it up there.
Behind Hazards.
Yeah, I'd put it above Hazards just because.
How about you, Connor? What do you think?
Yeah, I'd put it behind the Hazards.
Oh, boom. Maybe. I'm okay with it being behind Hazards because I think it has to be done right or it's dumb.
Yeah, because like I think it's done right in more instances than not in my experience and what I've read, but it's also kind of just more of a unique, I guess, not as common setting. So
okay, you guys ready for this one? This one might be another S tier. I know somebody's gonna die on the hill that it is, but it's Post-apocalypse.
S tier, best one. S tier, best tier, baby.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
I can't think of one post-apocalyptic world that hasn't drawn me in some way. To be quite honest, there's so many different things that come from that setting. So
we talked about this in the last time we did it, where it's like it has the benefit of being both a setting and a genre.
Exactly.
It's the entirety of a genre.
Yeah, exactly.
And as unfair as that is, it's still true to this day. Post-apocalypse all the way. 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
I think the only issue with Post-apocalypse is it's a little bit overdone now.
No, it's not. Give me more post-apocalyptic content.
I don't know. I'm sure we could find some post-apocalyptic content that you hate. I'm sure we could.
I can find some fantasy that you hate. I'm sure we could.
Yeah, fantasy's huge. That's hard. That's not.
You're saying so? Is it more overdone than post-apocalypse at that point? Then.
Well, post-apocalypse as a setting.
There's some
fantasy is a setting.
Yeah, some is definitely repetitive.
Kind of I think it's more of a genre, but yeah.
It's yeah. I mean, I would put it in S tier.
I'm putting it first place every day of the week. That'd be that's my vote above everything.
I'm a major Fallout guy too, so super Fallout nerd. More. Mm-hmm. I would say even more than, maybe even more than Elder Scrolls at one point.
I definitely am.
And I like Elder Scrolls better, but Fallout's cool.
I think I still am in that way. So, yeah, okay. I mean,
well, we have Post-apocalypse up top, and it's probably not going to be dethroned.
Probably not.
Next, this is Scrublands or Badlands. So it's arid, but it's not a desert. It can be cold as well, and typically there's some kind of like rock formations or something in there as well. Rocky area.
I think of the American West, with Apache raids and all that.
Yeah.
That's kind of where my mind goes with that when I think of that setting.
It's funny that I think that is the least cool example of the Badlands, and I still think that that's pretty cool, to be honest.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah. I think Badlands are pretty high. I actually think Badlands low key. I think I would say they're actually behind Ashlands, because actually I wouldn't put them in A. I don't think they're above Ashlands to me.
You don't think so?
I think they're cool. I think they're cooler because they're unique and like not committing to it being a desert is cool. because it's like too cliche to be like, this is my desert. But
Mm-hmm.
I think it's cool, but it's not. Ashlands are cooler, I think.
I would like the Badlands more if I had many more examples of it. But every time I see it, I'm like, that's awesome. It's an awesome place.
Right.
I'd love to see it every day.
I would have to agree. I mean, there's some instances where I've read or played a game with that setting or watched a movie, and it's been pretty cool. And but I would say I've been more drawn to Ashland worlds for the most part in the fantasy genre setting, anyways.
I agree.
Gonna say it again. The best Badlands are in Kenshi. So
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, next one we got, and I'm high on this.
Yeah, we got a real
We got the swamp.
swamp. Yeah, banjos start playing. You got boats in shallow water. You got
Frogs
gators.
croaking, swamp cats running around.
I've had enough of swamp, like the swamp setting in reality, because I live in Florida, and I've seen that a lot. So,
I think that there might be a little bit less convenient to live in a swamp, but it's cool to be in a swamp in a game.
I agree. It's like if you live in hell, you're like, hell's not a cool setting.
right. Yeah, pretty much.
It's
pretty much. So I'm a little bit, biased in that sense. But I mean, I still think like in fantasy, there's a lot of cool, a lot of really cool uses of the swamp biome.
And
I like the creatures. The creatures are what I was going to say.
I think so too. Yeah.
I love me. I might be weird for this. I love seeing some big giant fantasy frogs. I think it's just always fun to see a big frog.
You know what I also think is really underrated?
What's that?
Like a cold swamp.
Ooh, that's true. That's a bad place to live. That's a real bad place to live at.
Yeah, like in Game of Thrones, you have the neck and the Cranogmen, and it's like a colder swamp. Makes it way worse.
Way worse, definitely.
Way worse.
Yeah, that would be pleasant.
Yeah. Or if you have ever played Ark, has anybody played Ark here? You played Ark, Connor?
I have.
The swamp used to be a terror to go through. Like when you're low level, like the swamp is just like you're dead if you go near it. Like just don't go near it.
Yeah, if we're talking like prehistoric level, like inspired fantasy swamps too, that is really cool to me. No, I love that. But so I guess with that setting in mind, I'd probably put it fairly high.
I'm leaning A at least.
I'm cool with an A for swamps. Give me some big frogs. Give me some big giant mythical gators.
I think of the more classic biomes, like of the more worldly, like real world kind of biomes, I think it's like I think it's one of the best ones.
I like it when it's kind of like some fantasy swamps are inspired by like prehistoric, you had your giant creatures back then and all that stuff, and then they kind of take things from that, and I guess that's where we get all these cool settings from in swamps. So
Right.
I'd put there.
Next we have is the Tundra, which this is like it's snowy generally year round. It's frozen. This is the Tundra.
The best example is Skyrim again. The tundras they're pretty. They're cool to look at. But the problem is oftentimes there's not a ton going on where the tundra actually is. Much like real life, it's kind of barren.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really it's held back by like how much can you really pull off here.
I think tundras are cool.
Generally,
you're gonna get some kind of Viking person with a tundra, right? That's
always it's necessary, actually.
Yeah, to me, I like the setting, but it is definitely on kind of my scale here. It's more of the average types of settings for me.
We thinking B tier? We're thinking right behind forest, above forest. What do we think?
Keep it behind forest, in my opinion.
Like that, Connor?
Yeah. I would have to say so as well.
Right.
Rather live in Falkreath than.
Next one.
Right.
Next one we have is up underground. So like the deep dark in I don't know if it's a D&D thing, but Baldur's Gate.
It is, yeah.
Oh, okay. What is the
Underdark, and then the
Moria?
whatever it's called.
Is Moria underground too?
Yeah,
The mines of Moria. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to consider that.
And then the freaking the hell
The one in Elder Scrolls.
the hellhole that you are in Skyrim for an hour.
Yeah, so I mean, in this sort of context, we could kind of come up with a lot of different really cool instances of this setting, right? I mean,
Blackreach.
My mind goes
I
to
hate
dwarves
Blackreach.
and stuff like that too. You know, like dwarven cities and civilizations, and it is essentially a whole world.
It is.
When it-
I've got to mention this about Blackreach. I think that the only reason that we have this stigma around Blackreach is because you are trapped there, right? Like I think if you could fast travel in and out of it conveniently, like you can Whiterun or any of the other holds,
Oh yeah,
I probably think it's a pretty cool place.
Yeah. Also, it's hard as shit to navigate, and it has that terrible ass Nirnroot quest. And there's Falmer running around, which are like the most annoying enemy to fight. Is the Falmer.
Yeah, they're pretty tough. The Charas, dude, those things do crazy
spooky.
damage.
They're spooky too.
Yeah, and I'm trying to be careful not to go too much into different types of factions and creatures and all that. But this kind of setting kind of just,
I like them.
I think it's really good. I think it's really good.
It's another one of those. I think one of those essential settings.
Were you thinking it's S tier, or are we thinking it's like top of A?
I think it's maybe top A, at least.
It could very well be. The coolest thing about it is that it is totally a totally fantasy thing, right? Like for the most part, it is a pretty uniquely fantasy setting.
Do we think S tier, like bottom S tier? Or?
I might put it the bottom of S tier.
It could be, yeah. We'll put it bottom S tier.
I think that would be fair, given how many full instances we have of that in fantasy.
All right. And then next we have, I'm a huge hater, but underwater.
Yeah, I was going to say, we both know where this is going.
This is like my actual least favorite. This is my actual bottom D tier is underwater. It's so lame.
Yeah, I don't really care too much for aquatic settings.
There's only ever been one good example of an underwater thing, and it's literally like Atlantis, the movie, the animated movie. That's the only one. All the others are bad.
Yeah, and that's cool. And also, I guess this would be considered some level of fantasy, but in BioShock, I'm a huge fan of those games.
Well, BioShock is. I would actually put it above Dream Worlds because of BioShock.
Because of BioShock. Yeah, good point.
You're thinking of that now, right?
But that's the only good one to me.
There's just so few good examples. Most
yeah,
of the time
there
is.
There's not many good examples, I don't think. But when it's done right, it's done right. But given that basis, I would put it quite low for that reason.
I think DC's Atlantis is boring and for nerds, so.
Yeah. All right, next one we have is Savannah. Which is like, I mean, I don't have a huge opinion. It's probably cooler than no, I think it's worse than a desert. I think it's worse than a desert.
Really, you know what it is? I don't have any experience ever being in a savannah in my whole life. I've been to most of these other ones. Pretty much.
I've kind of, I want to say I've explored this setting most in games. Because I've never been in a savannah setting in real life either, but I don't think many people have, at least over here. But anyways, I think I think it's there are some cool things to be done in a savannah environment, but ultimately it is kind of what you would think. I mean, it's quite barren for the most part. For the most part, flat. I mean, you have a lot of, different parts of a savannah, but
to me, it's just a flat place with some trees, some tall grass, and animals running around.
Yeah,
that's it.
For the most part, yeah. So, and for a fantasy setting, not really too interesting.
I think it's right behind a desert. Is that fair?
I'd put it in D tier. I'd put it down there.
It's cooler than a
jungle, honestly.
Oh, jeez. We'll do it because I don't really give a shit about the savannah. To be honest, so.
I'll look at it. I would maybe put it.
Where?
Aaron only wants it there because he's a jungle hater and he just wants jungle to be at the park.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of am, but
you went jungle up?
No.
What did Connor say?
No, I was kind of just debating on where I'd put savannah, but yeah, I think that's fair. I mean,
Right, so,
I like the Indiana Jones movies, and when they're in jungles, they're cooler than anything I've ever seen in savannah. So,
all right, so next one is pretty specific, but it's Mediterranean. So think like any kind of like Roman, Greek, Carthaginian inspired kind of.
Very pretty.
So these types of settings to me in fantasy, because I love the ancient Greek, mythology stuff, the historical, and things that have inspired fantasy from this setting, I would put it pretty high. I think maybe somewhere in A tier, but more towards, I think, towards the end possibly. Just because there's so many, I think there's a lot of really cool things that have come from these things that's inspired a lot of the fantasy that I find interesting.
I think I could be convinced to put it in an A tier. My only issue with putting it any higher is it feels more like a climate than it does.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Kind of, yeah, I mean it is in some ways. But then you have some types, your different types of foliage.
Yeah, no, I agree. It is kind of its own biome. I think when you if you make a story, it's like if I describe to you that an area is Mediterranean, I'm going to generally be like, you're on the water, and then it's pretty nice year round, and the water's clear.
I mean, yeah.
And then it's like, okay, yeah, I got the vibe, or like Greek islands are really cool, or any rendition of Greek islands are pretty cool.
Yeah, then that's kind of why I would put it higher, is because I'm kind of including the whole of that.
Troy's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, and me too. And that's kind of where, and that is, generally around that type of environment. So,
I don't know what you guys think. I have trouble putting it above swamps.
Yeah, no, I don't want to put it above swamps.
I wouldn't put it above it either. I would say it's a cool.
I think.
Bottom A tier according to our current list.
Okay.
I think it's a cool place to live. I just don't think it's got as many as unique or interesting story mechanics, I guess, as a swamp.
Yeah, I agree. All right, the last one, guys, this is a taiga or an alpine. I don't know if that's the right word for it, but a taiga, which is kind of, it's cold most of the year. There's boreal forests, pine forests. There could be kind of mountainy. We're thinking, Vikings here. We're thinking kind of Skellige kind of would classify as this too, I think.
Yeah, probably.
Some beautiful 10 out of 10 place. That's just my opinion. I'd put it there again. It's mountainous places. I'm pretty a big fan of it. It's a livable mountainous place. It's not like a tundra where it's not much can go on here. You can have countries and nations built around these places.
I think it's pretty high.
So yeah, I like it really high. Put a castle on one of those things. Damn it, that's a good place to be. That's a good good setting.
I would definitely as well.
I'm leaning towards top of A or right behind Shadowlands. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can put it here. Here's okay.
Is this okay?
I think right behind Shadowlands is a solid choice.
Awesome.
I believe.
Well, everybody feels good about this list?
Good list.
All right. Well, everybody watching, if you enjoyed that, like, comment, subscribe. Please subscribe. We're trying to grow the channel. So it'd be a huge help. And Wishlist, Winterreach, Emporium. And we kept this video just under an hour. We're literally at 59 minutes. So congrats, guys.
Good job, team. High fives all around.
Yeah, I'm good as long as desert's kind of somewhere near the bottom.
I'm a jungle hater, so mine's the jungle. I know, really, I'm an underwater hater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think our D tier is pretty good.
Yeah. Well, all right, guys. Appreciate you watching.
Bye, friends.